In the heart of the Philippines, Mount Kanlaon breathes with ancestral force. Its fire does not only destroy, it also gives life. Each roar reminds us that the earth is alive and that its calm is only a pause. At 1:48 p.m. on November 2, the ground seemed to hold its breath. In the center of Negros Island, Mount Kanlaon roared again. It was not a violent explosion, but it was a clear warning that nature never forgets its power. From the summit crater, a gray column rose slowly and spread into the sky. The ash cloud climbed to about 400 meters above the peak and drifted southwest, filled with fine particles carried by the wind. For 37 minutes, the volcano exhaled a pulse of energy that turned the afternoon into a scene between calm and chaos. At 2:25 p.m., the display ended. The silence that followed brought questions. Was this a warning or the prelude to something greater? Kanlaon is no ordinary name. Standing 2,435 meters tall, it is the highest volcano in the Visayas and one of the most active in the Philippines, a massive body of rock and fire that has shaped the country's geological history. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, PHIVOLCS, keeps Kanlaon under constant watch. The November 2 ash emission was not isolated. Earlier that day, between 7:30 and 7:42 a.m., the volcano showed signs of unrest. Thermal sensors detected a temperature rise near the crater, and cameras captured subtle surface tremors and waves of vapor. What seems like a light exhalation is, to volcanologists, a code of pressure buildup, gas release, and magma moving slowly through the mountain's conduits. PHIVOLCS maintains alert level 2, which means moderate unrest. Steam-driven phreatic blasts and possible magmatic activity remain real risks, often with little or no warning. Authorities have reaffirmed a strict rule. No one should enter the 4-kilometer permanent danger zone around the crater. People living on Kanlaon slopes know this rhythm. Farmers scan the sky for signs of ash. School children recognize the sirens used for evacuation drills. In these communities, daily life and threat coexist. A similar episode unfolded 1 week earlier. On October 24, Kanlaon produced a short, explosive burst lasting about 3 minutes. It generated small pyroclastic flows on the southern flanks and an ash cloud that rose to roughly 2,000 meters before drifting northwest. Videos from that day captured the ash column and ground-hugging currents racing downslope. This activity comes as severe tropical storm Kalmaegi drenches the region. When heavy rain mixes with ash, lahars can form and rush down river channels at high speed, carrying rocks, trees, and debris. PHIVOLCS has warned residents to stay away from rivers and gullies around Kanlaon, since persistent rain can turn a small stream into a dangerous torrent. Picture a gray afternoon, saturated soil, clouds heavy with water, and ash descending slowly. Everything looks still, yet beneath that, calm the mountain breathes with power. It feels like an apocalyptic film, but it is real, and it is happening now. Kanlaon has a long record of similar manifestations. In 2017, an eruption sent ash more than 1,500 meters into the sky. In 2020, a series of phreatic explosions blanketed nearby villages in gray dust, grounding flights and closing roads. The pattern is familiar, quiet intervals followed by bursts of unrest. At about 2:55 a.m., on May 13, 2025, Kanlaon produced a moderately explosive eruption that lasted around 5 minutes. A plume of ash and steam climbed to about 4,500 meters and drifted west. Nighttime footage shows a vigorous jet rising from the summit and spreading into a broad, illuminated cloud. PHIVOLCS reports fluctuating internal pressure in seismic data and rising sulfur dioxide levels in gas measurements, consistent with shallow fluid movement. There are no signs of a sustained magmatic rise yet. That does not mean safety. Volcanoes do not follow clocks, and Kanlaon's behavior is historically unpredictable. From monitoring stations across Negros Island, scientists track vibrations and tremors that can precede explosions. High-resolution cameras record the constant vapor emission from the crater. Ash is a silent hazard made of pulverized rock and volcanic glass. It can harm lungs, scratch metal surfaces, corrode machinery, and reduce visibility in seconds. Local authorities urge residents to cover water supplies, protect food, and stay indoors during heavy ashfall. Sunlight filters through gray haze. painting everything in sepia tones. For many, Kanlaon's activity is a reminder of human fragility in the face of Earth's power. The Philippines sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, with more than 20 active volcanoes under round-the-clock monitoring. Even with modern tools, nature often stays one step ahead. With its near-perfect form and history of quiet but persistent eruptions, Kanlaon symbolizes a clear duality. It provides fertile soil and supports local economies, while also posing a constant threat to those in its shadow. In stories and songs, the volcano appears as a guardian. Some call it the Dragon of the South. Others call it the Old Man Who Breathes Smoke. When ash columns rise, it is history speaking again. Authorities remain calm. PHIVOLCS bulletins continue to report light steam emissions, subtle seismic changes, and the southwest drift of ash. Pilots are warned to avoid flight paths near the crater because ash can damage turbines. On the ground, response teams prepare shelters and review evacuation routes. There is no panic, but there is quiet tension, the sense that a familiar landscape can change in an instant. Science has learned much, yet mysteries remain. What triggers a volcano to wake after apparent calm? Which signals mark rising magma? And which are harmless internal movements? The current activity likely involves steam pressure building in fractures. When groundwater meets hot rock, it flashes to high-pressure vapor and can trigger sudden phreatic explosions that hurl blocks hundreds of meters. Even without evidence of sustained magma ascent, caution is still the rule. The afternoon of November 2 will be remembered as another reminder that nature does not forget its power. PHIVOLCS cameras captured a grayish-white column rising from the crater and expanding with deceptive calm. It was not a major eruption, but it was strong enough to show that something within the mountain is moving and breathing. Video of the event spread quickly on social media. Thousands watched with a mix of fascination and fear. Some called it majestic, others called it a warning. Experts confirmed an ash emission to about 400 meters before the plume drifted southwest, consistent with the ongoing pattern. Thermal cameras registered a temperature increase, and gas sensors recorded higher sulfur dioxide. Beyond the numbers, Kanlaon stands as a living symbol. Each exhalation releases energy stored over months or years. Volcanoes destroy, but they also create. From their fury come fertile soils and renewed ecosystems. The lesson is simple: balance does not always come from calm. Sometimes it comes from necessary chaos. As dusk falls over Negros Island, Kanlaon stands against a blood-red horizon. Village lights flicker like small, defiant beacons. Sensors keep recording. Scientists keep watching. The giant, quiet yet alert, remains alive. No one knows when it will roar again. Perhaps tomorrow, perhaps a month from now. Living with a volcano means accepting the constant tension between calm and threat. Once again, Kanlaon has spoken not with words, but with smoke, fire, and ash. The world listens, aware that every eruption is a reminder of the planet's primal force. In the Philippines, the Earth never rests. Beneath its surface beats an ancient, uncontrollable energy. Volcanoes breathe, rivers boil, and mountains whisper stories older than humankind. Among them all, Mount Kanlaon stands as a living reminder that stability is an illusion. At first glance, it appears dormant, serene, wrapped in a mist that disguises its true power. Beneath that calm, the giant stores pressure, fire, and life. Each time it exhales smoke or releases a column of ash, Kanlaon speaks the planet's language, the language of transformation. Its fury does not only destroy, it renews. Eruptions fertilize the soil, minerals feed the fields, and after devastation, nature blooms again with greater strength. It is the eternal cycle of creation and chaos, where life rebuilds itself from its own ruins. Those living under its shadow know this truth well. They have learned to coexist with uncertainty, to read the changes in the air, the scent of sulfur, the barely perceptible tremors that warn something is coming. Kanlaon does not threaten, it warns. It is the deep heartbeat of a land reminding its children that nothing lasts forever. As the sun sets over Negros Island, the volcano stands against a crimson sky. It seems asleep, but its silence is deceptive. In the Philippines, the earth never sleeps. Each sigh can become a roar, each calm a storm. Stay alert, because the next awakening may be closer than you think. And if you want to keep uncovering the secrets that nature hides beneath its fiery breath, subscribe. This is only the beginning.